Have you ever been burnt out?
I'm just going to say yes. I think so. Yes, I have been, but I didn't realise it at the time because I don't think I'd never had it defined. When I first that was a long pause, wasn't it?
I thought, when is it a good time for me to...
Is he doing that thing where it's... yeah, when I first started out, it was the mindset of, it's my business, I need it to work, so I must work at every single opportunity I have to work. Simple as that. So it's every day, 7 days a week, without any real holiday as well. So last year, 2024, for future viewers, was the first time I had 7 days off in a row for years and years. So it was actually very recently that I finally come round to the idea of or how important breaks are. Because the more you work, seemingly to get more done, to get more clients, all of that, the less efficient you become because you get tired mentally, physically, and you just can't keep up that constant grind, I think.
Quality, not quantity.
Yes.
And how did that manifest itself, your burnout?
Just not getting anywhere.
You just got a bit sad.
Yeah, just cried a bit. A lot. Yeah, just wasn't progressing. So I was doing lots of things, but nothing was going upwards. So,
as in, you were starting lots of stuff because you felt like that was...
No, I think I was not starting lots of stuff, but it was probably a lot of tasks that I thought had to be done that probably didn't need to be done. But of course, when you're running a business, there's always something to be done. So on a Saturday or a Sunday, I'd be thinking, well, I could be doing this, that, and the other, and I would just do it.
Yeah.
But now I realise that you don't have to do everything all the time.
But something that we've, I'm sure, discussed in a previous episode is that at the start of the business, you kind of have to be like that, though. And I know you established now, and this was even you saying this was last year, though, or last year, last year you had a week off.
Yes.
So I think, yeah, you do have to be really, really focused and kind of maybe put yourself on the brink of burnout at the start to get established.
How do you know that?
Well, I know
if you're at the brink of burnout.
Yeah. Well, actually, you only know if you're at the brink if you've probably been there before, because it comes through experience, I think. Yeah, it is it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because I think that if you sounds awful, but if you take it too easy early on, well, you won't get burnt out, but you may not get your business to where it needs to be, or you may, but it may take so much more long.
Can you edit that out? It's just,
What happened?
Random throat noise.
That's because we had porridge and not a double an egg sausage McMuffin. We got to the drive-through today, and I said, I'm having porridge. Martin swore at me and then ordered 2 porridges for him as well.
Hang on, just to clarify, not 2 for me, it's 1 each.
Anyway.
Words are important.
Yes. So yeah, I think that you have to push it early, but then through experience you know that, okay, well actually it's the quality of my work rather than the quantity.
And I think part of what comes into it for me would have been prioritising what I was doing as well. So it was probably, I would fill my days with the small things. I could get, because it feels like you're getting loads done if you're doing lots of little things, like small edits to blogs and, whatever else. And actually, you don't need to do those every single day. I think it's just the psychological thing of seeing that long list getting smaller, but you've still got those big things that you haven't done. And there's probably self-imposed pressure that comes because of that. Doing the little things, but you've still got those massive things that would propel you into business quicker.
Yeah. But then again, at the start, how do you know that? Because at the start you just think, well, I'm I'm busy, so it must mean I'm making progress. Interesting. I remember when it was December 2022.
Specific date?
Round about
Christmas
the
Day.
8th. And I didn't get out of bed. It was, towards Christmas in 2022. I remember feeling it's the closest I've ever come to, like, really burnt out, because I would just dread any shoots. And I was, and I know I had a sort of a busy week going up, like the week after. And I remember thinking I would do anything not to do any work. Like, I was just so frazzled. And then after that, I thought, well, this is a sort of a learning experience, like what we were saying earlier. I was definitely on the brink of it, just because I was doing exactly what you did, and I would take any work at any job, at any price, sorry. And what actually happens is that you do really shit work for shit money, which gets you shit clients, because you're just on that hamster wheel. And it's only like the last year, really, where I've actually sort of been really set in terms of what I do and what I don't do and how much I do it for. And that just means, I hope that the quality stays the same or even gets better.
How did you get out of that?
I didn't do any work that week. No, I did do all that. I did all the shoots. How did I get out? Well, it was nice. It was around Christmas time, so I did take some time off. And just tried to manage my diary a bit better.
Just touching on shit clients, can you name any of them for us?
Well, right now.
What are the ways of dealing with it, though, or spotting it? Can you spot it if you're so far into that?
Well, I would now.
Headspace.
I would now, because I know that if I'm very lucky. I mostly enjoy the work I do. And if I'm ever in a mental state where I think, I'm really dreading it. I think that's the word, like dreading it. I know that I'm overdoing it, basically, because I know that if I'm not tired and I'm not overworked, I really look forward to my work, because you have that bandwidth. So if everything's going kind of steady and settled, I won't be burnt out.
What, other than just taking, because sometimes there will be periods where you can't take a break, deadlines, for example, or a prolonged break at least. What else can you do, or what else do you do to keep going?
The way I think this is, Nikki might be a good person to talk to about this as well, because she's in the video game. I actually think that I work quite differently from other video editors in terms of what you often hear in the video game, especially with editing, is doing like 12-hour like editing sessions, like when you're in the zone, or all-nighters or whatever. I would much prefer. Well, the way I work is always short and sharp. I would much rather have 3 or 4 live projects and dipping in and out of those, rather than 8 hours on one, because after about an hour I feel like I just get too bored. So in terms of not being burnt out, dipping in and out really helps. And I would much rather, going back to kind of work-life balance, I would much rather work 6 days a week but reduced hours on those 6 days, rather than condensing everything into 5 days and having a weekend off. I'd much rather do bits and pieces, just to sort of, that to me keeps my energy up, rather than like 12-hour days.
And I know this will be different for every day depending on if you're on a shoot or whatever, but what is your core hours?
So if I'm not on a shoot and it's an editing day, I'll start about 7.
Whoa.
Work till about 8, half 8. So get the project done.
13 and a half hour day.
Simple as that. No,
That's like 70 hours a week.
Imagine.
No wonder you're burnt out.
8 days a week. 7 till about 8, half 8 a.m.
Okay.
And and I'll blitz some editing that I need to do then, and then I'll take a break, breakfast, shower, all that kind of stuff, and then come back to it for a couple of hours. I'll then probably go and play some pool around lunchtime, obviously. And
What
then,
a life.
What a life
you lead.
And then come back for maybe sort of wrapping up at 5 or 6 p.m. So it's
kind of
7 till 5, but it's spread
then.
out, yeah. So it works in terms of how I like to work, sort of intense but short bursts and then a break, rather than sitting down at I can't think of anything. There's lots of things worse, but in terms of my working day, just sitting down at, say, 7 a.m. and working through.
I spotted that, by the way.
Yeah, I know. What about you? Because you start work at 5:45?
No.
4:45.
Well, I get
3:45.
I just don't sleep anymore. 4:45 is when I get up. And that's not because it used to be 5 o'clock. I was not part of the 5 o'clock club.
You were.
I guess by default I was. But it was nothing. It was just so I could get that time in the morning with no interruption. Because I know no one's going to email me at that point or message. And for the most part, my family are still asleep. So I can get that chunk done. And generally by 6:30, I'll get ready, do my teeth, face, whatever, have a drink. 5 o'clock I will start. Work till about 6:30. Similar sort of time to you, hour and a half. Stop for breakfast, shower, school run. Never used to do the school run. Always used to start back at about 8 o'clock. But I'm missing that. I would miss that time. That's important time.
Yeah.
So I do the school run, come back, start again about 9:15 until lunch, and that can vary because depending on what I've got on. But I generally go out for a walk at lunchtime.
Yeah.
For about 45 minutes, which is good. And then work again. This is taking far too long to explain, isn't it? I feel myself getting very bored.
Well,
it's broken up. Like
that was a big one.
It was a big one.
That was a big one.
But it's
Still going.
It is, isn't it?
There you go.
You can edit that out. It's just all falling apart. I sometimes do work in the evening to make the next day easier. So if I've got like a podcast edit or something that might take an hour and a half or maybe sometimes longer depending on what one it is, I would just sit down in the evening and do that because I enjoy listening to other people talking about stuff.
Okay.
So it doesn't feel like work sometimes. I'm not doing any voice work in the evening because it would be too sort of mentally tired for that, I think. So yeah, again, it's very spread out. Sometimes it's more than an average 7.5 hours or whatever it is a day. But I don't work at all, or very little at the weekends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very little.
Yeah. No, well, you said it's boring, like going through our days. But I do think when I first started, I was fascinated into what people that were self-employed, what their working weeks looked like or how their day was structured, because there's so many ways to do it. Like I said, you can, if you wanted to, you could work 3 days a week, 12 hours a day on that and just get everything done and then have 4 days off.
I think the risk of that, though, is those other days, if something else comes in, you're putting it off for how many days until you start up again?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it would be, depending on the nature of your video or photography work, I'm not sure it would be possible to say, right, well, I only work Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, unless you needed to bring a certain amount in and you could actually turn down a lot of work. But obviously not many people are in that situation where they can, turn down work. But I think going back to the burnout, sort of settling on a working routine or working week that works for you, whether that's over 7 days or 5 days, 4 days, that's the crucial thing, isn't it? Working out what works for you.
Yeah. What's the...
I was just about to check timing as well.
What's the last job you did turn down?
What was the last job I turned down?
See, what I'm feeling here is that you've never turned a job down.
I'm just trying to think. Well, it's a difficult one because explicitly turning something down, I can't remember the last time. what I can remember is I don't want to do this job, so I'll say I'm booked up.
Yes.
That happens. That happens a reasonable amount, and I've, again, this is just because I think I've been going a few years now. I'm just a lot more confident on doing that now. And if I don't want to do it, because going back to what I was saying earlier, because I know that if I do too many of those, I'm going to feel shit about work anyway.
See, that I've tried using that one before.
Okay.
And so the conversation will go, are you free to do this? No, in my head, I don't want to do it. Yeah, I'm not free at all this week. I'm completely booked up. And generally with voiceover, the turnaround needs to be really quick. And they'll say, oh, we can wait. We can wait a couple of weeks. And
Okay.
then, and then it's, well, shit, I've got to take it now.
Well, okay. So, yeah, no, that's
So
reminded me. Go on.
I was just going to say, I prefer to, if I really don't want it, I'll just say, well, I don't want to do it. There was one last week, and it was a political piece pro-Trump. And regardless of what anyone's political views are, I don't want to be seen leaning in any direction, just in case my voice gets associated. Because you never know who's listening.
I would love you to be the voice of Trump. How funny would that be? Like the most anti-right wing person I know, and you would be the voice of Trump. Yeah.
What were you going to say before I so rudely interrupted?
No, well, I'm glad you did interrupt because, we only get about 7 views on this every single time anyway, so it's very unlikely that this person is going to watch this.
That's you checking that it works.
7 times.
Me having a look.
That's 8. That's fine. So I don't think this client would watch this back, but I'm going to keep it to myself just in case.
Okay. Will you tell me afterwards?
Yes, I will. Yeah. So I suppose what are the conclusions? How to prevent burnout? Stick to your own schedule that works for you.
Yeah.
One thing we haven't mentioned is passion projects and creative projects on the side of your commercial stuff, because that can because if you're in the creative industry and you feel like you're creating all the time for other people, that can be quite tiring because you're not putting your own stamp on it and you're sort of handcuffed, aren't you? So that's something that we haven't chatted about. We're running out of time now, but something to think
We've got
about.
8 seconds.
But
find something else to do.
But a minute and a half of that was me checking if this was episode 15
True,
or 16.
okay.
So we're okay.
Find something else to do that's not work related, like pool, for example.
Yeah,
It's a good
hobbies.
one. Just
Hobbies
to take your mind
outside.
into a different space, because that can be quite refreshing.
Or darts for you.
Yeah.
Or walking or running or whatever. Yeah, but that's a great one. Something outside of your work that you can just really focus on.
And then I guess just try to be aware of when you're becoming less efficient. If you're getting up from your desk and walking away loads during the day, that's a sign of not really investing in that work, I think.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much it, isn't it?
Just quickly, before we end. I can't, my bag's too far away. I'll do it on the next one. Don't worry. Do it on the next one.
Okay.
Nikki, can you pass me my bag, please? Just, I don't want to move the chair. I don't want to go in the shot. But just before we end the episode.
Yeah. This is intriguing.
The overly large ones.
What's going on? Thank you.
So, and this could be a complete bomb, but I thought I'd try something. I've got a game here called Who Knows You Best.
Oh.
And you're going to answer some questions about me.
Love that. Love that. Okay.
So, and see how well you know me after all this time. Because I worked out today, if you include all of the Creative Collective meetings where we chat to each other throughout when everyone else is in the rooms, we've probably had over 100 one-to-ones together.
Okay.
Plus
our contacts every single day, which we're on must be day about 500 now.
I think so.
Of consecutive days.
So the first one that's come up is name my favourite fast food. And I can tell you what it's not. It's not McDonald's porridge.
No. Oh, that's... Favourite fast food?
And let's change that to takeaway as well. Any takeaway.
No, nothing's coming.
Well, this is going well, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's have a think. I don't think this is right. You love a curry. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say Domino's.
It's a curry.
Is a curry. Okay, I should have gone with my first instinct, shouldn't I? Yeah. But yeah, I know you love a cuzzer. That's it, is it?
Wish I hadn't done that.
Just one question.
That's it.
Okay. Maybe we should do a question after every after every episode.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. This will be rescued in the edit.
See if it boosts viewership. Waiting for the question.
Good. Well, we're way over now. We'll cut there.
Sorted.